now we can hear each other just well and fine. So,
Thank God.
Okay. So this is Bookshelf, episode whatever. Eisner edition.
Eisner nominated edition. This is the Eisner nominated Bookshelf podcast.
Nominated. We have our winners. Our winners have been chosen for this year.
He's trying to make a joke that we're nominated for the Eisners.
That's
for shittiest podcast.
No, that would be, I guess, is there a Razzie version of the Eisners? I'd like to know.
If there is, most likely 4chan is the start of it.
No, as if you can get them to sit off their asses enough to do that.
I don't know. They've been able to do amazing things every once in a while, but rarely, not really often.
Only one board has a theme song.
Is it the one with Zone Tan?
JP, creativity. でもなぜか今日ができないさ。And this guy made a guitar version of it. It was awesome.
Okay, so Carlos, you want to start off with our Eisner winners for this year as we write off our opinions on the great works that these guys have done?
So we give no shits about what happened in San Diego Comic-Con.
Do not edit this out.
Do not.
San Diego Comic-Con has come and gone. The glitz and glamour has superseded our lives for practically a long-ass weekend. But behind all of the movies and the product placement and the fake-ass looking Power Rangers, some people forget that this is also a time where we honor the best among the best every year on the Will Eisner Awards, the Oscars of comic books, if you may. And right now, the winners has been chosen at San Diego, and we're going to read it off and share a little bit of opinions of it. Should we just get it over with and just say, thank God Erica Henderson did not win?
I don't have strong opinions. I just feel that like there are other artists who have work that is about as stylized as her, but I guess I just feel more consistent overall. That's all.
Indeed, and honestly, if she were to win, it's hard enough that she got nominated. But if she would have got nominated, it would be for a comic that she really put a lot of effort into, such as her own original work, or Jughead, where her stylization works. But no, she's nominated for The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, which has a lot of quality art.
If you're going to mince words, please don't mince words, please.
Tell us how you really feel.
It's shit. It's utter shit. Her anatomy is all over the place. Her movement is very stilted. And I'm not talking like Jack Kirby dynamic stilted artwork where it looks like it's moving. It's very awkward. Her facial expressions are... I have no idea what to describe it. You have to see it to believe it. But it's not about normal aesthetics of beauty versus an indie alternative. It's more like she purposely uglifies everyone just so she can be alternative. There's no logic or aesthetical logistics to her artwork. She just says, this is me, this is who I am, if you don't like it, you're a fucking hater. It's that type of Tumblr mentality that doesn't really belong in comic books unless you're doing it for maybe kindergartners. Or if you're a webcomic.
So let's see who actually won.
Okay.
All right.
So here we have for Best Short Story, we have Killing and Dying by Adrian Tomine in Optic Nerve 14, published by Drawn and Quarterly.
Drawn and Quarterly always has great stuff. Like, no matter what they do, they can't really do any wrong.
I think pretty much they're the current publishing company that I feel at the moment they have the kind of talent that Vertigo used to covet.
I wouldn't say that. They have more like a... You know what it reminds me? They remind me of... They took all of the talent that the great newspaper artists, the newspaper prints have done before, and then they gave them more room to work with. A lot of the stories feel that it could have been a pulpy adventure story or a newspaper comic book that had been printed, or a web comic. And you know, it kind of works.
Okay, our best single issue / one shot is Silver Surfer 11 Never After by Dan Slott and Michael Allred.
It was rigged.
Was there another issue you feel that was more worthy, Carlos?
No, I
You're
just
just
don't.
hating because it's Marvel?
No, I'm hating because it's Dan Slott and Michael Allred.
Carlos has a long-standing feud with Dan Slott. I don't know, but legends say it began over a grilled cheese sandwich.
No, that was a story Matt told me about his feud with Dan Slott. But ironically, that grilled cheese sandwich inspired At the World's End, that story arc of the Amazing Spider-Man. So yeah, Matt is Dan Slott's muse. And look, it's not that I hate Dan Slott, it's I love him and I hate him. And I hate to love him, but I love to hate him.
Oh, okay. So we got a Joker relationship going on here.
Yeah, kind of. So his Silver Surfer is basically what if it was like Doctor Who in the Silver Age.
Okay.
But it's so almost low demographic. It's so watered down compared to the epic and very philosophical stories that Silver Surfer has done before.
What, you lean towards something more Starlin-y?
Starlin-y, even Stan Lee's work. Straczynski did a really good Silver Surfer called Requiem. But, maybe if it's just one story. Plus, I just can't stand Michael Allred because when Michael Allred, he's a very good artist. He's very incredible. But his art dictates the tone of the story. His whole thing is that he's 60s mod pop art. It works well for his own comics like Mad Men or X-Force and I think the Ecstatics when they created. But when he draws something, then, like the Fantastic Four or the Silver Surfer, it draws out all of the tension and the pathos out of it. And then it becomes a silly Silver Age story, whether you like it or not. I think the only exception he ever did was iZombie.
Okay.
And that's the fault of a publisher, the editor, whoever put this guy together with this writer.
Well, it's worked within the context of this story at least. Mm. Okay, best continuing series is Southern Bastards by Jason Aaron and Jason Latour.
Man, I spoke to Jason Latour before. Remember, he was bored out of his fucking mind, especially at the first special edition NYC.
Oh, that. I mean, I thought, wait, that show no longer exists, doesn't it, Carlos?
No.
So where's this show and when was this?
Pretty much for the previous 2 years, New York Comic Con has grown to pretty much be, not really New York Comic Con, but to be New York pop culture soup.
It's San Diego and the East Coast.
So New York Comic Con was an attempt to have a Comic Con that was forced on comic properties and their creators. Much less of the part spectacle, part comic show, but mostly spectacle thing that's going on right now. So special edition happened originally in the Javits Center, but the first year we went there, it was really, really underfilled. The second year they had it at some dock, whatever kind of place.
It was at Port Pier 44.
Oh.
Yeah. And
oh my God.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but pretty much there, I felt that the con was better run because it was in a smaller venue, but I guess it wasn't profitable enough for the gods of Repot to
faster man
to re-up their investment. So the first year we were there, we saw a lot of comic creators bored out of their mind because the show was undersold.
At the time, Jason Latour was mostly known for his Thor work and Uncanny X-Men. And they were pushing this comic called Southern Bastards, which is about a football player coming back to his small town in the South. And it's kind of a really fucked up town.
Yeah, it's the tone of the story is about it's pretty much about the kind of place where you envision like a good old boys kind of operation running, and I guess that's where the work brings. Best limited series, The Fade Out by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Carlos?
First off, if you are a fan, if you're a casual who is currently loving anything about the Winter Soldier or Captain America, you have this man to thank, Ed Brubaker. If you love classic stories like Gotham Central or Criminal, you have Ed Brubaker to thank. Personally, I just love his work. Sean Phillips, I'm confusing him with Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy is a prolific artist, and he's currently working with Mark Millar on a lot of stuff in Millar World, but I don't know much about Sean Phillips. But if Ed Brubaker shows him, it must be good. And the Fade Out, it sounds like one of his incredible noir works.
Okay, this is one you feel very, very passionate about, Carlos. Best new series, Paper Girl.
Hell
Brian K. Vaughan and
yes!
Sid Chang.
Oh, wow. I did not thought of anything about Paper Girls when I picked it up, but I knew, like, okay, you know what? I need to give more female-oriented books a chance. Because I don't really like Lumberjanes or Bitch Planet or Captain Marvel for that sense, but I do love Rat Queens. And I was looking for something more like that. Paper Girls is not that. The Paper Girls is basically, if you take the Goonies and the cast of E.T., gender flip them, and then put them in a time travel assassination plot. It's like Spielberg meets with James Cameron's Aliens. And I've only read the first volume, and the mystery is just more and more engrossing. But what's more important is that these are not like girls who are instant kung fu experts or girls who happen to know more than they're talking about. They're normal. They live in a cul-de-sac. They deliver papers. It's the 1980s. They have no idea what's going on, but they use their ingenuity and their guts.
Wait, are these girls that live in a time long past when blockbusters ruled the earth, Carlos?
Indeed. In ancient times, where people, instead of watching on DVDs, we had VHS, where the greatest systems was 16-bit.
Yeah, that's 8-bit, Carlos.
That's a little bit too much?
Yeah, that's 92. This is 83.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And 8-bit was overpowered.
Well, the most popular thing is that there was no internet, kids. We had to talk to each other.
Actually, there is internet. There's message board forums and the birth of fan wars, of the flame wars that exist and burn to this very, very day.
We need to talk more about that.
You can find them on the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, they're there.
Out of all three of those ones, Southern Bastards, The Fade Out, and Paper Girls, there's a pattern. Is that Image is kicking ass.
So the industry loves Image right now.
Oh yeah, Image is their baby right now.
Let's see. For the younger kids, they have three categories for younger readers. So for the early readers, up to age 8 is Little Robot by Ben Hatke from Fritz Second.
Huh. Yeah, never heard of that. We'll have to take a look at that.
Best publication for kids, ages 9 to 12. Over the Garden Wall by Pat McHale, Amalia Lavari, and Jim Campbell from Boom Studios.
Okay, if you guys have never heard of this,
I've heard good things about this book.
Oh yeah, it's more than a book. You please see the Cartoon Network miniseries called Over the Garden Wall before you read this book. You will thank me later. It is so good, so damn good.
Best publication for teens, ages 13 to 17, is Super Mutant Magic Academy by Jillian Tamaki from Drawden Quarterly.
Super Mutant Magic Academy. Sorry, it just sounded like Boku no Hero Academia.
I'm guessing that's the American branch of that place.
It sounds a lot like Monster High. Everybody's channeling it.
Yeah.
Yes. I heard of Jillian Tamaki. She does some good work, but I never heard about this series.
Let's see. Best humor publication. Step Aside,
Pops. A Hark.
A Hark, a Vagrant Collection by Kate Beaton from Drawden Quarterly.
No, not ringing any bells, but that long ass title sounds very interesting.
No, it's like, I think it's another volume of Hark, a Vagrant by Kate Beaton. It's being published right now.
Okay, can you tell me more about A Hark, a Vagrant?
Hark, a Vagrant is like, it's kind of like sketch comedies where they kind of have modern sensibilities, but still within, I guess, 17th to 18th century kind of milieu.
Oh, cool. So it's still Shakespeare. Shakespeare reference stands.
No, I'm thinking more Napoleonic / Revolutionary War time frame.
Huh.
A lot of Kate Beaton's work started through that work, and I guess this is like another volume. Let's see, best digital / webcomic, Bandette by Paul Tobin and Colleen Coover.
Bandette. That wouldn't happen to be the comic book about the female cat burglar, because I remember reading that a while.
Yeah, so pretty much, yeah. I haven't taken my time to read it, but I really like the aesthetic of this.
Oh yeah, especially the backgrounds in contrast to the character. The character looks like a simple Silver Age comic book superheroine, but you see the backgrounds and
the backgrounds are nice and detailed, and like there's a nice muddy kind of style that makes it look similar to the French comics, that where they have that kind of where you use like a, how to put this, where you know that technique where you use a brush,
yeah,
and you just swipe it on the thing once,
yeah, like wash,
yeah, like that kind of
that
kind of tone is very prevalent.
A lot of washes over here, but something tells me this is not so much. Yeah, something tells me that this isn't exactly regular wash. I think this is digital.
Well, of course it's digital, but it has a very classic style. It has a very chic look. It's very clean. The backgrounds are kind of washed out and pale, very detailed, very artistic. But the colors, like the main character, she's bright, she pops.
Does anyone remember that French comic about the little girl who lives in a church with a whole bunch of little girls? Marionette.
Yeah.
Madeline. It reminds me, this almost reminds me of the superhero version of Madeline.
Similar colors.
Yeah.
Similar colors.
Yeah, as in red.
Yeah.
As in there's one color.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, we're gonna go look forward to Bandette. More of Bandette. I am kind of a little peeved that Avis Deebens didn't get a nomination. Or maybe they did, but she didn't win.
Best anthology, Drawn and Quarterly, 25 years of contemporary cartooning, comic, and graphic novels, edited by Tom Devlin of Drawn and Quarterly.
Big deal. Drawn and Quarterly are like the only publisher who's still doing anthologies, except whenever Dark Horse gives a fuck and decides to do an anthology. Image stopped doing that, and good luck getting the big two. Never gotten back on that.
So why? People don't buy them?
It's more like, people buy serial storytelling. Like, the big argument of manga versus comic books is that manga is more consistent. You have one story arc. Well, in a way, American comic fans like American comic books because the arcs are consistent. You're buying one story per arc, and you're buying one part of an arc per comic book. So it's still continuing off from different events. It's not just one-offs. Anthologies are basically one-shot stories or four-shot stories that are have a definite end and conclusion. And, for business giants like the big two, there should never be a conclusion.
Well, like DC has had some really successful ones with Batman, where they had Batman Black and White, which were anthologies, all done in black and white, continuity free, and they were just one-off Batman stories with very often a noir tone, but some of them ventured into monster stuff or other kind of psychological horror things.
Yeah, there's definitely no comparison to manga because the way manga is published, it's first in an anthology magazine usually, or in very cheap small books. And then you have a tankobon, which has bigger format, nicer art, maybe has more color.
Mm-hmm.
So is it very often that the creators will debut in an anthology, or that a work will debut in an anthology, then be able to graduate into serial format elsewhere?
It's anthology might not be the right word, but a lot of the ways that comics first get published onto the scene is through magazine subscriptions. So they'll either work for a magazine over time that they'll have a contract there, or they might have a one-off, one-shot, and then that might help them to get their career off the ground.
It's sad because Marvel and DC had brilliant runs of anthologies when, it's easy to pick up. They have very light stories that doesn't require any continuity. Like Wednesday Comics, I think is such a brilliant thing. And if it wasn't for the cost of the paper and the way that it was formatted, I think it would have been a mainstay.
I'm just amazed that the American comic market, they are very big on quality. So even anthologies like this have good paper, good color. With manga, you get black and white on newsprint.
Yeah, but that means they're able to come out with a lot of stories more quickly, right?
And why can't we have that here? Sometimes we want to see new artists, or we want to see one-shots, or we just want to...
Yeah, it's called newspaper comic book strips or indie comic book strips. No, screw that. We pay for those big-ass printers for a reason.
Anyway, next up is Best Reality-Based Work. March, Book 2 by John Lewis, Andrew Aiden, and Nate Powell from Top Shelf/IDW.
You've been big on March ever since we met them over at Brooklyn Comic Con.
Yeah, so you probably don't know this, Karina, but March is an autobiographical comic about John Lewis. Andrew Aiden is a writer. He was one of his staffers, and he pretty much put the idea to have a comic about the congressman's life done in comic form. And March is very much about pretty much the life of a person living through the civil rights movement, and as a person who was intimately involved with it and in a lot of the meetings and saw a lot of pretty much the infighting and the struggling within each other to find to be able to do things like marches on Washington and all that. March is pretty much about the nature of that struggle between even himself and within different groups of people.
And it's very beautifully rendered. I like and Nate Powell's artwork. And I look forward to seeing the complete work. I know March Book 3 just came out.
Yeah, I think I'll be picking that up fairly soon. Mm-hmm. The best new graphic album is Ruined by Peter Cooper of Self-Made Hero.
Probably never heard of it. Ruined it does remind me of that old Marvel comic.
Yeah, this is probably something completely different. I thought the same as well. Best graphic album reprint, Nimona by Noelle Stevenson, published by Harper Teen.
Okay. I know like a lot of people give Noelle Stevenson shit for her appearance on that comic book reality show and her tweeted opinions and Lumberjanes, but I respect the work that she put into Nimona. I've never really been a fan of webcomics until I read Nimona. Yes, sometimes the agenda, the politics behind it can get a little murky, but the characters are really compelling. And you think it's a nice, light comic book, but it gets really dark near the end. And, I just love the character. She deserves this. I'm glad that she's getting more hype. I hope Noelle Stevenson can get more high profile work.
Okay, best adaptation from another medium. Two Brothers by Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba, published by Dark Horse.
Wait, we're talking Two Brothers? That video game about those kids moving the logs?
Or is it the Chinese novel?
I have no idea.
It says it's an adaptation from another medium, so I assume this has something to do with... No, this has nothing to do with that video game.
Yeah, I see. I've seen this before. I think they were at Comic-Con. Based on the work of Milton Hatum, so it might be based off of a book.
This Kramer-looking dude.
Two dudes.
Who looking like Two-Face right now. Yeah, it's most likely an adaptation of a novel.
Let's see. Best U.S. edition of international material. The Realist by Ansaf Hanuka. Published by Boom Studio/Archaea. You talked about The Realist before, haven't you, Carlos?
Yes. The Realist was essentially a webcomic/comic blog. It is a newspaper comic of this Israeli artist. It's slice of life. Okay, it's slice of life, and it talks about his struggles, his struggles with his family, trying to get work, and then sometimes there are the one-off issues that are like surreal pictures of the emotions going through his mind. It talks about the reality of being an Israeli citizen in Israel, but it's not exactly propagandist. It's a lot of comparisons happen to be to Harvey Pekkar's legendary work American Splendor.
Yeah, actually, I recognize this guy. Yeah, I've seen a lot of his work online.
We actually talked about The Realist.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of The Realist is pretty much like poor is the new chic. So he's just standing there, and like there's like paparazzi all around him, and his like pockets are inside out, empty. He has a lot of surrealist imagery within his books that are really amazing. All right. Next up, we have Best U.S. Edition of International Material from Asia, Showa, 1953 to 1989, History of Japan, by Shigeru Mizuki of Drawn and Quarterly.
Any bells ringing?
It's basically a textbook in comic book form. It's interesting. It's not dry. It doesn't go as much into detail as you would like, but the Showa era was super exciting by itself. The art is super detailed. It's very clean. It's nice to look at. It's nice to read. And if you're interested in history, you should definitely pick this up.
Let's see. Best Archival Collection / Project, Strips, The Eternaut, by Hector Germán. Unterschild and
Francisco Solana Lopez.
Edited by Gary Groth and Christy Valenti from Fantagraphics.
That I'm sorry, it's just that title, The Eternauts. All I can think is the Huguenots. Those comics books that you keep telling me about. You know, the big French comic.
Yeah, it's I guess it's a science fiction comic created by Argentine comic strip writer that's been republished that they found. Pretty much, looks like a revival of a pulp work.
Oh, I see. Oh wow, this is weird that the shadows are like super heavy on this one, and there's a lot of cross hatching.
Okay, best archival collection / project with regard to comic books. Walt Kelly's Fairy Tales, edited by Craig Yo.
I think I heard of Walt Kelly. I wouldn't really know.
Okay. Here is where the gloves are gonna come off, Carlos. Okay,
boy,
we've got now our best categories. We've got Best Writer, Jason Aaron, Southern Bastards, Men of Wrath, Doctor Strange, Star Wars, and Thor. So Carlos, tell me how you really feel about this.
Okay, look, I'm gonna give it to Jason Aaron for Southern Bastards and Men of Wrath. That's about it. When he does his own thing, he shines. When he's doing someone else's property, it's so. His Doctor Strange isn't bad. It's just different. And his Star Wars has actually been killing it a little bit. But the less said about Thor, the better.
Okay, next up we'll have our best writer / artist, Bill Griffith, Invisible Ink, My Mother's Secret Love Affair with a Famous Cartoonist.
Oh God, the title.
Well, I recognize the name of Bill Griffith, and he does some really good work as well, but I haven't seen anything recent from him. But with a title like that has to be a story worth checking out. But wait, best writer-artist?
Yeah, writer-artist combo.
Okay, thank God Carrie Andrews is nowhere near that.
Why?
No. Incredible artist, fantastic artist. Do not ever put him near a fucking script. I swear to God, if Netflix Iron Fist is based on his Living Weapon run, I'm gonna punch a monitor right now.
Carlos, don't.
Go flip the table.
I built this table with my bare hands. Let's see. Best penciler / inker or best penciler / inker team. Cliff Chang, Paper Girls.
Fuck yes. Also, let's add Cliff Chang for Black Canary, Cliff Chiang for Wonder Woman. His Wonder Woman is going to go down as one of the more definite versions. Coming from SVA himself. Amazing dude.
Best painter / multimedia artist, Dustin Nigin, Descender.
People will recognize Dustin Nigin more from the Little Gotham shorts. He's the guy who did all of those little watercolor chibi versions of Batman. But Dustin Nigin can do a lot more, and I'm glad he's getting recognized for painter and multimedia artist, a category that was, come on, let's be honest, it was just created so Alex Ross could be on it.
Best cover artist, David Aja, Hawkeye, Karnak, and Scarlet Witch.
Fuck. I want to debate this, but you got to admit, say what you want about Hawkeye, but David Aja's art made that book. If you don't like Matt Fraction's bullshit regarding the main characters, you will like it for David Aja's incredible paneling, his editing, and his covers.
His covers for Karnak and Scarlet Witch have been amazing to me. Because for Scarlet Witch, they have this weird ethereal quality to me where like they capture the mysticism that's inherent in that character that better than a lot of other touches have.
In short, he is great because of his masterful, and I'm talking master class use of color. His artwork is very minimalist, and just with a few touches of purple here or a red over there. And yes, Scarlet Witch is among his best work.
But it pretty much follows in the same theme that he has with Hawkeye, where it's pretty much a very, very minimalist 2-3 color thing where it's pretty much red, black, white, and a primary color. So with Hawkeye, it's black, white, and the purple.
But no, because with Hawkeye, it's also, he uses a lot of gray tones.
Yeah.
With this one, with Scarlet Witch, not only is he doing minimalist, but it's also very intricate. Holy crap! One of these covers are practically Steranko-esque.
You mean with the tessellated cover he has here?
Yes, Steranko.
Yeah, these are the kind of covers that you make posters out of.
Yeah, like if they had like a weird Scarlet Witch movie or
a novel,
the Scarlet Witch a novel, this would be like amazing for that kind of thing.
I'm thinking of like theaters, musical shows. Like if he does the poster for Wicked.
Oh wow!
Wow. Okay. Let's move on.
We'll end up gushing about this for hours. Best coloring: Jourdain Belair, The Autumnlands, Injection, Plutona, Pretty Deadly, The Surface, They're Not Like Us, Zero, The X-Files, Massive, The Massive, Magneto, and Vision.
I can't say because I've seen his stuff on Vision, in Magneto, and Plutona, and they're really good. He has a very muted coloring style that I like about his work.
I don't know.
I'm starting to distrust your use of muted.
For the Autumnlands, it works really well for me because it's really vibrant.
But it's not super saturated. That's what I mean by muted. It's not like in your face.
But he uses rich, bold colors that are, they're not undersaturated, but they're clean, they're pure.
Dude, okay. What I mean by muted colors is it's not super saturated. It is not in your face. It fits the tone of, like, the one we're watching right now. It's from something called the Autumnlands. The Autumnlands.
It's very much an animal people kind of book.
In 1903, I guess, 19th century, and it has that kind of tinge, the use of yellow, and yes,
and it's not the bright yellow; it's the baby diarrhea flavor of yellow. That
I mean more like a bronze, but not shiny.
Yes, it has a lot of earth. It has earth tones without being mud. It reminds me of classic pulp stories, or one of those illustrated covers for the illustrated storybooks, like 1,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's like once in a while they go overboard with the Photoshop when they do the lighting, but just once in a while, very rare.
But they're very conscious of the primary colors. They don't stray too far. They're just not crazy oversaturated.
Exactly. The lighting is very good. And I felt that way when he did Vision. Like, his lighting always fits the tone. Whenever you see the Vision going to his mundane work job in Washington, trying to get money for his family, it, has that super saturated Pleasantville colors. But once you get back to the house and you see all of the secrets and the weird things that are going on, it starts becoming more yellow and darker and darker, and yes, you feel the horror elements going into the Vision family.
Okay. Best lettering. Durf, back Durf, trash.
Dirk back Durf. Okay, now that we get that out of the way, does anyone know about Dirk back Durf?
I don't know anything about letterists, I'm sorry.
Or trashed. I know, I've been taught about lettering, but mostly I also been taught that lettering is kind of almost a lost art.
Yeah, it's really a dying art. When they do lettering, it's pretty much like for the cover, maybe.
Or if they do, it's mostly just digital nowadays.
I mean, there are digital letterists who create their own fonts for certain projects or just one-off.
Yeah, but it looks like from Durf back Durf.
Dirk back Durf.
Okay. He's pretty much the sole creator of this comic book. It's an ode to the garbage men.
The garbage man can.
Not the mythical garbage men that belongs in Homer Simpson's dreams, but the garbage men that are on our streets, taking away our refuse and sometimes our broken memories.
Yeah, but they get good benefits.
In many states.
So we honor them.
In many states. Let's see. Best comics related periodical journalism. Hogan's Alley, edited by Tom Hentges.
Hogan's Alley? Isn't that like... Okay, no, that's Hogan's Heroes. But no, I know Hogan's Alley is like a really famous comic book.
No, it's an online magazine of comic cards.
Ah, that's what it is. Oh, now I remember. It's almost like Illustration Monthly. I've seen that before. Well, I'm glad Hogan's Alley actually did that.
Are there any articles that have really made a strong impact on you from there?
No, but I've only seen them published alongside my favorite art magazine, Draw Quarterly.
Okay. Best comics related book. Harvey Kurtzman, The Mad Who Created Mad and Revolutionized Humor in America by Bill Shelley.
Oh, man. No, I'm just reminded of, what was it, Jim Davies? He was like a super famous illustrator from Mad Magazine, and he just passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I know of Harvey Kurtzman, and I know about what he did in order to get Mad Magazine off the rope. You don't really see that much comics related books though from either big publishers or American publishing to begin with, and that's a topic we're actually going to be getting into very soon. But let's just wrap this up, shall we?
Okay, best academic/scholarly work. Blacker Than Ink, The Constructions of Black Identity in Comics and Sequential Art. Edited by Francis Gateward and John Jennings. Published by Rutgers.
Huh. That sounds like something that's necessary in this day and age. Oh, and
We can move on.
Yeah.
yes, it almost... I swear, I thought they were going to be talking about the milestone.
I think it's in there.
Yeah.
Best publication design. Sandman Gallery Edition, designed by Josh Beatman / Brainchild Studios.
If those are the guys who did the cover for the Sandman Omnibus books, they deserve it. Those covers are really good.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yep, it's those guys.
Will Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award. Orbital Comics and Gallery, Carl Assa, Damian King, and James Wilson from London, UK.
One day our beloved Hank Kwan from Bulletproof Comics will win day. Maybe. If we believe, or if we stuff ballots.
Okay, Russ Manning, Promising Newcomer Award. Dan Mora, Artist of Klaus, and Hexed, Boom Studios.
I've never seen Hexed. I've seen Klaus. He deserved it. He definitely deserved it. I would have thought that maybe someone like Carrie Randolph, but he may be too much of an industry insider.
I wouldn't say he's a newcomer.
No, he's not a newcomer, not at all.
Bob Clampett Humanitarian Award. Matthew Inman of The Oatmeal. He does a webcomic, The Oatmeal.
So tell us, what is The Oatmeal? And it's not a delicious cereal?
It's pretty much a webcomic. He's done several things. I think the Humanitarian Award was because he helped fund a Tesla museum in Jersey. Nikola Tesla Museum.
Good.
I think that this might be for that.
Huh. They're like webcomics versions of greeting cards.
Yeah.
So he does some of that. Some of it is actually what we would think of when we think of a webcomic, but he's pretty much an internet treasure.
Yeah, like the comic books are really, really easily shareable, and I think his crowdfunding desire to push for that Tesla museum, I think that's what got him on here.
Well, congratulations to the man behind The Oatmeal.
It took a webcomic to win this award.
Also, the following creators were inducted into the Will Eisner Hall of Fame: Tove Jansson, Carl Burgos, Rube Goldberg, Jacques Tardy, Linda Barry, and the creator of The Simpsons, Matt Groening. Huh. Well, yeah, I haven't seen Matt Groening did any comic book work in forever. But yeah, it's good that he's getting inside it, because The Simpsons was very, very inspired by newspaper print, and well, it became a pop culture sensation.
As well as Futurama and all the stuff that's done for culture, as well as giving us. They actually made a mathematical theorem for switching brains.
Yay!
Going back to comic books that talk about comics. Karina, you wanted to talk about a long time about comic book culture and fandoms. Can you go more into detail about that? Like, what got you started on that? Bleh. Bleh.
So we talked about the Eisner Awards, and this is how the industry is shaping the comic book industry. But there's also the flip side. How are the fans shaping our own culture? How are we shaping the things that we're reading, the things that we're enjoying? Because we do have an impact on that. If you compare it to Japan, for example, it's considerably less organized. Here it's a very consumer top-down culture. And I thought that the parallels that you can draw between like the Japanese fan culture and the American fan culture are significant and different. Even if you're talking about like the Latin American fan culture, which their comic book fans are in a whole nother level.
Oh, yeah. They're like, it's like the bastard child between American consumerism and fan-made Japanese comics.
Yeah, because they had their fandom, nerd, quote-unquote fandom, is very much influenced by Japan because they got all the classic mech series. And that was just a regular comic, and they're still, like, they go online and they're highly influenced by Japanese series and the way that, like, 2chan.
And on that regard, they also take, whenever they do adaptations of popular series, they do have credible creative liberties. Have you ever read the Mega Man Brazilian comic?
Oh, God. I've seen pictures of it. It's kind of incredible.
It's almost...
Wait, what kind of incredible are we talking about here? Are we talking about it's a wonder this exists kind of incredible? No,
it's very serious business. Very serious business. And it's really good.
Imagine a Mexican Tijuana comic book version of Mega Man. Although add a slightly more competent plot and a lot of fan service.
A lot. If you're talking about by the fans for the fans, this will be it.
This explains a lot. I've seen that version roll before, and I was wondering where that came from, and now I know. I don't think life is going to be the same for a while.
You know, in a way, It almost reminds me of the DeviantArt movement before there was a DeviantArt.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
It's almost really sad that DeviantArt kind of fell off the radar.
No, they have not fallen off the radar, but they've been stigmatized into going on the wayside. DeviantArt is still kind of a big force, but it's no longer as influential as, say, Tumblr or Instagram.
Yeah, because Tumblr and Instagram are designed from the bottom up to be more shareable. So it's kind of, because of the network effects, it got stronger.
Not necessarily. It just has a more social media aspect to it. So if you're going to have fan wars or whatever going on, it's going to be on Tumblr. It's not going to be on DeviantArt. DeviantArt has a very mature culture.
If you want to say mature, sure.
Compared to Tumblr.
Sometimes it's in or out. Sometimes Tumblr is more immature than DeviantArt. Sometimes DeviantArt is more immature than Tumblr. My thing with Tumblr is that despite it's a culture of haves and haves not. It's a culture of absolute truths. You are either with the person who has this opinion or you are against it. There's very little moderate ground on Tumblr, and that's because it's mostly contained as a culture of reblogs. You can't actually say something about this work. You have to reblog it and then talk about it. DeviantArt, you post something, you talk about it, and then you wait for people to actually comment on your work, or they don't give a shit. They're just gonna put it on your face.
And more to the point, Tumblr is populated by teenage girls, and the type of fandoms that arise there are very.
Oddly enough, those teenage girls are now becoming the future artists and writers of Marvel Comics. But
I have no hope for the future. I really don't. I mean, I grew up on 4chan, and sometimes I stumbled upon Tumblr because there are really good conversations that you can have there. But it's a lot more spiteful. It's a lot more hateful than 4chan.
Is that universe? That is possible?
That is possible. Tumblr is... I got scared off of Tumblr.
That is true.
There are 50 times more trolls. And part of it is that you have an account, you have a persona, people can track your posts. So that's part of the reason.
The other part is, the thing is, they're hiding behind social agendas such as feminism, gender fluidity, racism, and so on and so on and so on, to create a weak-ass defense against their trolling. In 4chan, for better or worse, their anonymity allows you to kind of filter out any agendas that they could be playing out.
And you can't use, I just want to avoid using this one specific word.
Say it.
I won't.
Okay. But you can't.
What can it rhyme?
You can't.
I mean, on 4chan,
you can't give out an identity, even a pseudonym. Really.
Yeah. If you say, I am a woman and I am offended, people are going to say tits or get the fuck off. A fag is used as an endearment. It's a whole different. We've repurposed language to an extent that it's meaningless. Slurs are absolutely meaningless
in a space where no one has faces.
No one has faces on Tumblr either, unless you get stalked and hacked. And there are actual huge feuds and rage wars where people go to conventions and they have talks and they're talking about serious issues that we really should be bringing up. Should rape be used as a kink? Can we talk about rape in fic? And rape survivors are coming out and saying, "Oh, this is very therapeutic. This is very helpful."
From where? Tumblr or 4chan?
The conversations are having on Tumblr, and on Tumblr you have just internet bullies hiding behind the thing that no, your kinks are not acceptable.
No, that's because it was made from the ground up to be for a specific niche, not even niche, a specific wave paint of behavior and social stature.
Well, I think it's more pretty much because it's one of those things where the medium determines the message. So in a space where you can make an account, but the conversations happen in such a way that you share a thing by recreating it and then commenting on it, And the only way a person can get in the flow of the conversation is by talking into the stream of whatever you already made. It's very hard to have a person get in edgewise.
It's hard
so
to
whatever
have a
spreads,
conversation.
just spreads more and more and more and more and more. And by the time you get into that conversation, it kind of is already mutated to be something else. So that's where you can have a situation where, hey, I want to do this thing for this social group that I feel is being put upon by someone. And it can kind of mutate into, I have the idea of how these people should feel. And no one's going to tell me the other way. Well, no one has before. And if they're in the way, well, I'll tell them to shut the fuck up, and that's it.
No, it's just bullies hiding behind the shield of PC police.
Exactly, but the thing is, you can't even counter it. You said like the conversation can mutate into something more. If you actually have a counter identity or counter idea against that mutating meme, it then mutates into a big ass circle jerk that takes thousands of reblogs and ultimately leads nowhere.
Well, because you're essentially fighting a person. I mean, thinking carefully.
They're not people, they're trolls.
Yeah, pretty much very often the kind of person that engages in trolling for fun is often a person who's really depressed and who kind of whose goal of the conversation is not for them to learn. It's for them to create a rise out of you so that they can be able to feel a sense of victory.
I did some trolling before, and sometimes you can learn a lot of things by getting
No, I mean, like,
no.
I guess the thing is that there are things you can learn out of being, how to put this?
Being a dick?
Yeah, but being a dick or being assertive in a counteracting sort of way.
Like, you can act as the devil's argument in a conversation, and that's completely different from being a troll.
But it's more like a troll is pretty much consistently arguing against this thing just as a matter of how you act on the regular. Acting in that way on the regular is usually not normal. Like, people can slip into it in and out.
I mean, and it's not like they're espousing their personal opinions. They're just saying what they have to say to make it all get ugly.
Indeed, in Tumblr is almost a mob mentality. Now, to be fair,
not almost, it really is.
It really is, but to be fair, 4chans, the board cultures over there.
Yeah,
they're self-regulated. I mean, you post something stupid and it's.
But what measure is stupid?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, to be fair, once I posted an unpopular opinion on M and I got called a troll, and then I cried. Yeah. But
exactly, it's like you switch from one mob mentality for the other one. It's just one is hiding under the veneer of political PC bullshit, and the other one.
But at least on Chans, there's no quote unquote mob mentality.
They're having mobs. There can be mobs that can sweep them from time to time.
Any general to begin with.
Pull.
No, but
back to pull with all of you.
Yeah.
But Pole, they're actually taking themselves seriously.
That's the kind of thing that mutated over time.
No, I mean, somebody posts something stupid, it's lurk more, or don't even bother posting, or people just ignore you. And on Twitter, you have that feedback loop that in order to stay in the conversation, you have to retweet, you have to respond to people. You're forced to engage with.
Also, there's also the element where pretty much your relevance is judged by how many people already like your opinions. Mm-hmm. So you have to stay in the game. And there's no real way for you to stay, to have a positive number of people get with you with a short time, unless you're like throwing some bombs at somebody somewhere.
It's
not even throwing bombs. It's more like you have to subscribe to the general
the culture. You have to subscribe to the culture. If you actually question it, they will call you out and tell you go back to Reddit. Which, I
mean, Reddit's boring, but at least there's a lot of people, and
it's the disparity between intelligence and empathy. Like, the old saying, 4chan is where where geniuses go to be idiots, and Reddit is the place where idiots go to be geniuses. And as much as I don't want to agree with anything 4chan says,
oh, come on.
They have a point. Where Reddit has more structure and, depending on who's modding the place, is a little more benign and a little less aggressive. Yeah, the topics over there are not exactly scintillating. While in 4chan, you see philosophical debates and long-winded topics about anything, even waifus. But, without the filter going in there's no way to emphasize with almost anyone. Hell, if you go into a conversation and you want to talk to one specific anon, good luck trying to figure out which one, because you have either you're trying to need to put your opinions in the conversation or you get the fuck out.
But I mean, that's the good part, that nobody's judging you by your past. It's only by what you're doing right now, what your opinion is right now. And it's pretty obvious who is who in a conversation. I mean, I'm just biased because 4chan raised me. Like I spent all my preteen teen years on here.
I kind of fell for the magical 4chan. I thought it was like the ultimate free board, but what it is I hate it, but I respect it. I hate it like a wild animal that can kill me. But it's a wild animal, so we should respect its place in the natural habitat.
I mean, because...
but it's not even... Oh, you're talking about it like it's not... Like it's something separate from you. Like the Fox newscasters that say Anonymous hacked the Pentagon last week.
No. Everyone knows Anonymous is not anonymous. Even the real Anonymous.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty much like a gestalt of a lot of ideas in one place. It feels, I guess, it gives the feeling of pretty much being uninhibited because like there is no faces, so ideas have to keep coming up over and over in time again to keep being relevant, to have something worth talking about, or more importantly, worth fighting about.
And
because
stuff
of that,
expires.
Yeah,
conversations can die, and they often do.
And it's very ephemeral.
And a lot, like 10 years ago or something, there was a lot of arguments brought up on the internet for the right to be forgotten. That your social media accounts, things that you wrote on the internet, you have the right for those to expire. So all those like naked pictures that you posted on Facebook, you can delete them.
Mm-hmm. Those are much larger issues in Europe. I mean, as far as law, because it's become law though.
I mean, they take their privacy seriously.
Yes.
But the debates that spun up out of that are interesting, mostly because we look at what we have today, and the stuff that we posted when we were 12 is still alive and kicking right now.
And it does scar you in your personality and your persona on the internet. Sometimes I swear that I get blacklisted from Illustrator jobs just because of shit that I said on forums before.
You allowed yourself to be easily found? Don't you have like 6 throwaway accounts already?
Not exactly. Specifically, 10-year-old me didn't thought of a kooky username.
You used your real name.
Some of them.
My god.
He was 10 years old. Not everyone learned about using online pseudonyms.
It was at the time that the internet was starting. It was not at the time where you be absorbed by internet culture.
Yeah, my mom sat me down and she had the talk with me. Like, we didn't have the sex talk, we had the internet anonymity talk.
Never tell anyone who your real name is. Don't use your real name.
Oddly enough, I just told the moderator, like, okay, this shit bores me. Can you just delete my account? Done. But no, there is one where I just got bored. It was fanfiction.net. I put one fanfiction and I got tired of writing, and I left that alone for nearly a decade. A decade later, that's still there under my real name. And I keep saying, the email account is dead. I haven't been here in 10 years. Why is this still alive?
You have to email the site owner and...
I did 3 times.
Well,
wait, is it any good?
I did it's like one bullshit fan fiction about a futuristic Legend of Zelda.
Oh god. Well, at least it wasn't anything crazy. Was it porn?
No.
Okay.
No.
It has an aside though. Karina, what do you know about the Japanese internet side of their fan cultures?
2chan.
Because 2chan is pretty much the board that
that
the American chans have spawned out.
But 2chan is also has greater reach. It's kind of like a mashup between Reddit and Imgur. Everybody goes on 2chan.
I thought Imgur was practically Reddit because Reddit does. You can't go on a Reddit and put an image without using Imager. That's like
It's just popular. They have a certain amount of whitelisted image links, but gradually they've been trying to create their own image service, image hosting service.
People go to Imager just to go to Imager. It's a whole culture, and it's just popular. Like all college kids are on it, etc.
I wouldn't put an art gallery over there, but yeah, for like random images that you just want to post on the internet, it's beautiful.
But are there any other sites? Because we're aware of how that works for the American side. And either other.
Well, there's Pixiv, which is kind of like our DeviantArt.
Better than DeviantArt. The quality there is like. Psh.
There's also fan blogs, which can be password protected, things like that. A lot of fan culture is on Twitter because a lot of creators are on Twitter, so you can just follow your favorite studios, which isn't really all that different from us.
In a way, like, I scoured some Pixar stuff, and most of the art I seen was either porn or really, really professional quality art. While on DeviantArt, yeah, you can tell these are the little kids who just got on there to post internet memes. These are the actual hobbyists who are trying to draw stuff by copying someone else. These are the idiots who tried stealing someone else's art. And then you go up from there to hobbyist, to semi-hobbyist, amateur, semi-professional, professional, and then you work for the industry. And you make money.
There's Damburu, which is another image board. There's also...
Jailburu, which is porn.
Oh, shush. Nothing wrong with posting porn on the internet. How else are Americans supposed to get sex education? We don't get it in our schools.
And you certainly don't get it from live sites anymore.
Also that kind of leads to other kinds of things like, you know what? Maybe we need higher grade porn comics, honestly. Because that's kind of one of the things...
Do we even have porn comic artists?
Maybe not so much porn, but like...
I mean,
I guess I kind of really would like to get a kind of perspective kind of like similar to how the Europeans have it, where you can show sex and nudity within the work and not just have it be erotic, just have it be part of the world, and that's okay.
The reason why Japan, a lot of its porn that's more available, erotica or whatever, the reason why it's more widely available in comic book stylized form is because of America. When they built the Constitution, when they wrote the Constitution for Japan, they said, no, you can't have graphic nudity at all, ever.
You will listen to our Puritan ways and like it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it used to be a larger part of the culture until we did it. Thanks, MacArthur. Good job, MacArthur.
I mean, all you have to do is look at classic art, like classic tentacle porn, and it's fine.
The Fisherman's Wife, yeah, that's the one.
The one we all know and love.
Well, actually, it's kind of easy to get those European kind of porn like comic books in America. Go to St. Mark's Comics over at St. Mark Street. You can go to, well, not exactly Midtown, but if you look close, you'll find those comic books like in the back rack. Definitely Forbidden Planet. They have them.
And if you don't live in the New York tri-state area, you can look up Humanoids Comics, and they fairly often have comics that are of that kind of sensibility there. But
the thing is, like, what sensibility you're looking for? Are you looking for something more mature, more art house in style, or are you looking for straight, cheesy, B-rated, erotic comics? Like,
then you would just go to RedTube. Honestly, Americans don't look at comics and think sexy. We were grown up on.
What are you talking about? We had an entire industry where we have comic book artists and writers objectifying women. There was a Marvel swimsuit illustrated.
But it's not erotica. And we don't look at it and think, oh, this is wank material. It's just
you don't know
fan
comic
service. Oh, fuck off. It's fan service. That's it.
Anything can be turned into wanky material. You know this.
But I agree with I will agree with Karina's turn with regard to fan service though. Yeah, that is something that's really true.
I mean, otherwise, how can Frank's show find any work? It's an outrage. Outrage!
I mean, when you say comics, you think Marvel, DC, The Simpsons, Family Guy.
Definitely not The Simpsons. Not South Park. They're more like gross out humor.
Yeah, for me, pretty much Marvel comics. comics encompasses the whole world of pretty much the American slash probably Western European style of drawing paneled stuff. The big stuff is often the superhero stuff and or stuff related from animation that gets big, but the world is bigger than that.
Oh yeah, we know this.
You know, comic book industry, we want an erotica section in the Eisner Awards.
I think that's something I can fully stand behind.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too unfeasible, really. Well, most likely when they mean erotica, they mean something classy, like something with a bit of cheesy supermarket romance, or something like out of the noir thing.
Let's talk about.
There is one comic that I would like to suggest. It's an anthology called In the Flesh, and it has a lot of short stories. I think the writer is Israeli.
Oh wait, I forgot. Are we gonna mention sex criminals at all?
No.
We could, but yeah, Corin Shadney. It has pretty much a couple of short stories. That feature sex in them, but they're kind of about more than that. Like one of them is about a guy who has who falls in love with a girl who's kind of headless, and she carries her head with her, and pretty much and like a guy whose job was to be like you could say analogous to a Barney type character, where like he gets in the suit and a woman kind of falls with him and wants him to have sex with her while wearing the suit.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's a really good collection of comics that I really recommend. It's on Kindle for $12. It's paperback for really, really, really cheap for used. You can get it new for like $4 or $5. But yeah, I really recommend In the Flesh Stories by Corin Shadney.
All right. This has been it for this week of the Bookshelves podcast.
First off, a big TY to our good friend Rukunetsu Rindoru for letting us borrow one of his newest track, 0009 Slayer Type 2. You can find him at youtube.com/Rukunetsu or check out his art at www.deviantart.com/Rukunetsu. Follow us on Twitter at BookshelfENT or Facebook.com/BookshelfENT or YouTube.com/BookshelfTV.